Okay, and we are back like we never left. It's episode 11 of the Small Cap Review. And as always, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now, today was in the pre-market, looked like there could be a little bit of excitement. There were a couple good names gapping, but I'm making this video at 10:30 my time, 12:30 market time, because it is ended up being a pretty lackluster day after the first 30 minutes. So we'll start with the leading gapper, the one that had the most eyes on it. We're talking CPOP, a China name, gapped up 107%. And so if we look here at where it opened at a really nice level. I have the drawings turned off. We'll turn them on in a second. But opening right here on top of all these pivots, this daily congestion that it has not tested from the bottom, but now it's above it, tapping it from the top side. So when we draw the lines on, this is what it looked like for me. Had a nice daily gap down here as well that we're on top of. But really the most important thing is this recent congestion and pivots that we're going to be on top of. So in the pre-market, when I was watching this thing, I was thinking maybe it'll open towards this daily pivot, which would be a good level to play off of, but it made that move in the pre-market. And so once we got above this level, I was thinking, okay, hopefully we don't go all the way to the next one in pre-market. Hopefully we get above, get a pullback to this level, and then we go. So that's exactly what happened, and I was able to capitalize on this play. Saw the pullback into the zone on some pretty good volume. It had a lot of volume in pre-market. It had 17.5 million shares traded in the pre-market. So to get that 4 times volume that I like to see, it would have been, 80 million shares or something like that, more than that, in the first hour. So would have been pretty tough to do on a name that was, between $3 and $4. So I didn't think that it necessarily could do a large sustained move, or it would have taken a lot for that to happen. But like I said, I like this pullback into the daily zone. We also had this trend line here from the pre-market that you could draw out, um, and especially once this bottom pivot was made, trend line was clear, and I entered here in the 350s, I believe, and took it into the zone. I did take some profits initially here, and then I did get faked out a little bit. Once we got this move to the downside into this pre-market zone that I had drawn, and it absorbed and started pushing quickly, I added on, pretty much doubled my size here, but then it ended up giving a fake breakout. My entry was a little bit late. I think it was like 410, so it was not a good entry. This candle happened really quickly, but we got the fake breakout, and then we started to get this kind of looks like maybe, but we had decreasing volume here. If we're going to get increasing prices, we want to see increasing volume, not decreasing volume. So I took some more, or I took all of it off up here for a break even on the added shares, but a nice win from the original shares that I had taken down here in the 350. So the key thing to watch here was, yeah, we did get that quick move up, but all we could do is give a fake breakout. So that's a key trigger. 425 daily level. Let's take a look at that right here from this pivot. Hard to see because I have the zone on it as well. But this is where that area comes from, the top zone and that top daily pivot. So when we get the fake breakout up to that level and it slams back below quickly, um, that's a sign for me to go ahead and get out and wait for maybe the next play to set up. So whether that was going to be this pre-market zone holding, or it had that VWAP support or that trend line right below, but just decreasing volume. And when it does try to push on a little elevated volume, gets rejected, and then this candle signals the end back down to the low of day, and at that point will be near impossible to kind of battle back through all of this. So good name on the long side. On the short side was looking like maybe a headache, but ended up giving a clean trigger. I haven't done this yet, so let's see what we get in terms of the fib bounce. It would be from here to here. And would you look at that? 61 to 78 fib. Good as gold, guys. Good as gold. So clean play on the short side. Did it make the 5-minute 200? It did not. Um, Still has plenty of time, though. Wouldn't be surprised to see a rejection of this zone where it previously consolidated and then back down to make new lows. So good name on both sides. I only played it long, but opportunities both ways there. I will go to the other name that I traded because this was actually my favorite setup of the day. SGD should sound familiar. We talked about it yesterday. This is a day two play. And, really for day two plays, the way that I'm going to get most interested in is a play off of the previous high of day, which is what we end up getting. Sorry, just trying to blow this up so we can see yesterday's action. So we're coming off that double bottom low that we talked about um, yesterday, and we made these highs up into all these pivots. It was kind of a mess with all the pivots that were kind of in this area. So same place that it failed yesterday, it ended up gapping above it in pre-market and then pulling back down to the key daily level here below. And I wasn't interested there because, again, I was thinking that, you know, it could, we already had a fake breakout over the highs at the open. So the play I was looking for was a move above and then a pullback to that previous high day, which is where these three lines are this previous consolidation zone or daily pivots. This was the high, so I knew a pullback into this zone was what I was looking for and a break of pre-market highs. And again, it may sound like hindsight because, what I'm mentioning I'm looking for is what is playing out, but it's not hindsight. I promise these are the trades that I took. So um, we get this beautiful pullback and absorption right on top of the previous high of day. And in terms of range, you know, gave me what I wanted, a little bit less. I'm a 20% kind of guy. We got 18 out of the move. So I held it up here, sold above the pre-market highs. We did get this kind of move down and then back up. So I was kind of hopeful that maybe we would get a next leg, but once we got some more selling here, I took off the rest of the shares. So it did end up, absorbing again at the same levels and pushing and pretty much doing the same move twice, this time just a little bit slower, but first time is usually the best time. So nice trade. I was happy to walk away in the first, what is this? 20 minutes of the day with two trades that I was happy with that I planned for. And yeah, so I'll go back to another one of the pre-market gappers. Like I said, not a ton of action today, so this will be a quicker video. TAOP was a name that was a little disappointing to me because it also was a China name. So with CPOP going, I was thinking maybe we could have a little bit of sympathy action and get a move out of TAOP as well. Um, but we'll see here on the daily. I mean, this was a pretty easy daily chart to map out. As always, you can draw more, but these zones were key to me. This one down here on the daily, and this one up here. And then we saw kind of the respect in pre-market, we get that move above, and then this consolidation at it. So, if it was going to go with TAOP, that started going after the second candle of the day. But here we just get kind of a move up and rejection of this lower daily zone. So this ended up being more of a short play than anything. Once you are below this daily zone, try to push up into it. Good place to short, entering or risking either this pre-market level here at 120s, or I'm sorry, 124, or just do the opening print here, which is 120 itself. So once you get that, you can short into that thing, and what do we get? Yeah, well below the 5-minute 200. So the range was actually a little bit limited on that to the downside. 17%, I guess that's not too bad, but clean move, clean, easy move. Avoiding the, quote unquote shiny object, the hot chick, whatever you want to call it, that was CPOP. Get more of a low key move, and sometimes the low key ones are the best ones. Yeah, not too much to add on that one. We'll go GWAV. This one gapped up 35% this morning, and this one did have an interesting look to it on the daily because it opened up in this big daily gap with the pivots right below it. Oh, come on. I hate having to do this scroll thing. All right, so it did have an interesting look, like I said. I mean, if it was going to bounce anywhere, it was going to bounce off the gap open level uh, or a little bit below at these daily pivots that I had, or daily zone rather, that I had drawn out. This pre-market zone, this purple, came from the hourly chart. We switch over there. You'll see right here, it did pop up in pre-market and at open um, on the 7th, kind of into that gap and faded off. So maybe some absorption in that zone, and if we're lucky, getting moving up to either this next pre-market zone, this whole dollar test, or I'm not whole dollar, we're talking cents here, this 10-cent level up here. So, but it right away showed that it's not gonna do it. The fact that it opened right at this pre-market high zone and rejected away from it, I don't love that because that's the first, second, you know, third or fourth time that it has tested it and rejected it. So clearly selling up here and doesn't act too strong yet. We get some sideways consolidation, but volume's pretty dried up at this point. Opening volume was not impressive either. So unless there was going to be a total change in the behavior of the stock getting volume that's breaking the opening volume, um, it just wasn't that interesting to me once it came down here on the low volume. So range also super limited. I mean, we would have to break pre-market highs to get 15%. And like I said, I didn't see that move as very likely at all. So pretty much right away, this one was off radar, but one to keep watching. If it holds these levels, stays in the gap, could be a move for us to see either tomorrow or maybe next week. So, if it doesn't fail, I'll keep it rolling into to my watch list for tomorrow. Then IVP, tricky little vixen. Let's look at this guy. Zones matter, folks. You got to be able to draw your zones. People say different things: liquidity zones, supply demand zones, um, daily zones, whatever you want to call it. You have to get good at drawing them, recognizing them, and knowing how to play them. So if you give me a second, I will do the endless scroll here so we can look at this daily. My God. All right, so again, this is had some action on it yesterday on lower volume. Almost 4 million shares traded yesterday. Nice sideways consolidation on the daily, um, and a really pretty crazy pre-market straight up since 4 into these key levels above that we have drawn out here. So um, in terms of plays that you could look for today, clearly it had this previous high a day, which I knew was in this pre-market zone. So this was a level I was looking to for it to hold. Now we do get a really nice move. First candle gave you exactly what you wanted out of it, a name that you could have traded for sure. Um, I did not. I had eyes on the CPOP opening because I knew this one in terms of range. Again, you hear me talk about range a lot, but I'm not going to take a trade, put my money on the line for 5% or 10%. I want 20%. I want 30%. I want more. So that helps me stay selective and not just taking everything that's moving. So I knew range-wise, you know, we'd have to go from this opening level to take out the pre-market highs to get that 20% I'm looking for. So um, it was possible for me to trade it, but I was not going to rip it off the open. So bounces off those previous high days, this pre-market zone that we got here from the open, or I'm sorry, from opening of pre-market pretty much, where we go up, break through it, hold above it, and do a little above and below. Um, Combined with the previous high day, which was right here around 475 as well. But easy up, easy down. So, I mean, it took 4 minutes for this stock to give you the move, or at least the start of the move that you wanted, and then completely dump on you. And once that's done and we're below all of this, the high of day yesterday, this thing is cooked. So Ended up not giving a crazy fade, but that's because that 5-minute 200 is right here below it. So it really didn't have, of course, had room to the downside from the pre-market zone, but if you did not hit that, there was really no move for you after the instant halt down. So I think that's going to about do it. This will be, for the first time, I say that, still 15 minutes. I keep thinking it's going to be shorter. So shorter than usual, but still not too short. If anything pops up later in the day that's interesting, maybe we can talk about it on the video tomorrow. But hope you guys traded well. Hope you stayed out of trouble. Avoided the fades if you're on the long side, captured it if you are on the short side. As always, any questions, any topics you want to cover, leave them down below. I will 100% respond and make sure that we talk about it. And yeah, again, hope you traded well. Hope you have a good rest of your Thursday. Friday ahead. The end is in sight. Let's close the week strong. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.